Programs are now live streaming on the AFA streaming app. Now you can get shows like today's issues straight from the source.
Put back on the next.
Just say unbanned.
Unbanned.
Just search AFA Streaming or visit streaming.afa.net to sign up. Welcome to Today's Issues, offering a Christian response to the issues of the day. Here's your host, Tim Wildmon, President of the American Family Association.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to today's issues on the American Family Radio Network for this Tuesday, rather Wednesday, January the 3rd. Happy New Year to everybody listening to AFR today. And joining me in studio is Fred Jackson. Good morning, Fred.
Good morning, Tim.
And Ed Battagliano.
Hey, good morning, Tim.
And Wesley Wildmon.
Hey, good morning.
All right, and I'm remote. So I'm broadcasting from out there in remote land.
Not Zoom land, remote land.
Zoom, yeah, it's called Zoom land.
It is Zoom land, okay.
Yeah, I can see you three guys back in the studio there in Tupelo, and we hope everybody's kept your New Year's resolutions through 3 days. If you've broken them, don't tell anybody. Ed, you believe in New Year's resolutions? Do you?
I make them all the time, Tim. I make them and break them. New Year's resolutions are made to be broken.
Is that what
I will say? I will say this: New Year's Day was at the gym. I'm starting. My New Year's resolution is to go to the gym. And
morning or afternoon?
Well, no, it was first thing in the morning.
First thing. Okay.
There was only 2 other people in there. It was at 7:00.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, I'm sore.
But Ed.
The
gyms have coffee bars now, so you can go to the gym instead of the coffee bar. That is not going to help you.
This one doesn't have a coffee bar.
Oh, it doesn't?
No.
Okay.
It's nice. It wasn't staffed on New Year's Day, so
okay.
But anyway,
did somebody get you a membership for a Christmas gift or something or what?
No, AFA.
Yeah,
because we have what's called a healthy
U program.
Healthy U program.
Right.
AFA will reimburse people if they want to join a gym.
Yep.
Because it helps keep people healthy and reduces our insurance premium.
And it actually worked to reduce our insurance this past year. And So
you're ready to go.
I'm going.
So January 1, you went January 1?
Yes. Now, I didn't go yesterday after work because the Bruins were playing, the hockey team that I follow. But today, after work, I'm at the gym.
All right. You pumping iron or
pumping iron, walking. I'm doing everything, man.
Okay. All right. Good for you, man.
Now,
ask
me
New
next
Year's
week.
resolutions last till
ask me next week. How's the gym going? Well, I don't know.
Oh, gym's fine.
The gym's fine.
So I've heard in sports analogies that records are meant to be broken, but I have not heard that New Year's resolutions were meant to be broken.
That's just been my experience.
Okay. Gotcha.
Make them, break them.
With most New Year's resolutions, you're like, do I really want to do this to myself? You know what I'm saying? Do I want to do this? Why haven't I been doing this before New Year's?
Right.
Maybe there's a reason for that. But it's always a good time. Seriously, it's a good time for self-reflection and for motivation and for, setting a new plot. If you do want to work out or plan to read the Bible or study the Scriptures or, I don't know, whatever you want to do.
My other New Year's resolution is to eat more pizza. is to drop some of those vegetables.
That's actually number 1 on my list.
Yeah, you put me to shame in terms of eating pizza.
You just canceled out the gym thing, Ed.
That's
there.
Well, that's what I used to say for the longest, is that I work out hard and I exercise so that I can eat whatever I want.
Yes.
But obviously at 34, that's catching up with me.
Yeah.
So it's called carbohydrates cardio.
Yeah. Well, you're right.
All right.
New Year's is a good opportunity to reset and to refocus, and we give a lot of hardship to the resolutions that fail, but there are a lot of resolutions for a lot of people that they have a turning point and they do keep their resolutions. And We don't know any of them, but I know they're out there.
All right,
My
Fred,
friend.
what's happening? What's happening in the world?
Well, since last we met, Harvard University President Claudine Gay succumbed to a lot of pressure and the fact that she was found to have more incidents of plagiarism than originally thought. So yesterday she announced her resignation. But good news for Claudine Gay, they will not have to start a GoFundMe to take care of her because she's stepping down out of the president's office but landing softly in the Harvard Law School, and she will continue to get her $900,000 a year salary. So don't feel too bad for her.
Now, was she fired?
No.
If you don't know, folks, we're talking. I know we don't have a whole lot of Harvard graduates out there, probably. But,
On Fridays we do.
Yeah.
yeah,
Learning
yeah,
University.
We are the Harvard. The reason I say that, not that it once was, probably the most prestigious, at least law school, but university in America. People wanted to go there. They were hard to get into. They're still probably hard to get into, but students wanted to go there. The degrees meant something. Same way with all the Ivy League schools like Yale and others. But their reputations have gone in the tank for the last 10, 20 years because of all the left wing. It's all left wing agenda driven stuff that comes out of Harvard and these other, again, formerly prestigious schools. Many of them Ivy League, what they call Ivy League schools. Yale. So in this case, the Yale University president, what's her first name?
No, it's Harvard.
Harvard.
Claudine Gay. Gay is her name. And before the plagiarism incidents came to light, the real problem started when she gave testimony before a congressional House hearing. And you remember she was questioned by Congresswoman Elise Stefanik, Republican from New York, about what the policy is on Harvard's campus with regards to groups calling for the genocide of another group. And Claudine Gay, along with the presidents of two other universities, hedged on that, saying, well, it kind of depends on the context. That's what got her into trouble. Elise Stefanik, reacting to Gay's resignation yesterday, said this took far too long for Harvard to demand Gay's resignation. Cut one.
We know it does not depend on the context. It should be condemned. It is not that difficult to say that, yet all three failed abysmally, and the world saw it. It is unacceptable that it took Harvard a month to demand the resignation of Claudine Gay.
Well, you know what? She got fired basically for her. Well, they lost a lot of money.
Yep.
Harvard did.
Right.
Yes.
From big-time donors who were Jewish because she wouldn't condemn Hamas.
Yep.
Right.
In that congressional setting. She was in over her head. If you watched her, bless her heart, she wasn't qualified for that job. She got that job because of her minority status and her gender. And so she was a critical race theory product, basically, from what I could tell. And then the plagiarism charges, listen, I read a few of those things that she wrote, and she just took them right off the page of somebody else who written them before her on some of that stuff. I mean, at least do like I did in 5th grade when I got out the World Book. I changed a few words up when I did my research paper, and I don't think I'm alone in this. But
that's the way we all used to do it, because we were all told you can't just take it. You got to change the words up, and so
the words up.
The technical thing. What we did was we would take a paragraph, we would copy it, and we'd look in the dictionary for synonyms, and we'd change a few words, and we'd say, "There, I changed some words." But this is a Harvard professor.
That was 5th grade for us. We're talking about a college professor,
right,
who became a president of Harvard University, and she basically, the plagiarism charges are basically you're stealing somebody else's work, and that's provable in the documentation that was provided. Anyway,
Yeah.
all right.
But if you're CNN's Matt Egan,
Matt
Egan, yes.
Okay.
He says Gay is not accused of stealing ideas, guys. Just copying them. Cut number 3.
Let's hear.
These
What fellow's name we're about to hear?
allegations, where Claudine Gay has had to issue corrections, multiple corrections. Now, we should note that Claudine Gay has not been accused of stealing anyone's ideas in any of her writings. She's been accused of sort of more like copying other people's writings without attribution.
What? What? You gotta be kidding me.
That's the funniest thing I've ever heard.
That's a real person that gave a real interview on CNN.
Yes.
And saying it with a straight face.
Yes.
That was pure left-wing gold.
Yes.
I got to tell you.
And that's got to be one of those where he gets through and somebody walks up to him and says, "Do you realize what you said?" And he's like, "Yep, we're good." You know? No, stop a second. Did you hear what you just said?
That answer on CNN right there is worthy of a replay.
I agree.
100%.
We need to go to the monitor and
Go again.
and watch the. We need to watch this play again.
Clip 3.
Go ahead.
These plagiarism allegations, where Claudine Gay has had to issue corrections, multiple corrections. Now, we should note that Claudine Gay has not been accused of stealing anyone's ideas in any of her writings. She's been accused of sort of more like copying other people's writings without attribution.
That's the definition of plagiarism.
Copied and pasted.
Listen, I was in the church world for a long time in the pastorate, and I constantly, not constantly, but you'd see things disappear from the church, and then you'd find, well, what happened to it? I borrowed it. And I would say, outside of the church, that's called stealing.
Yes, you take something, don't bring it back.
Yes, that's right. No, I didn't steal it. I took it with me. I borrowed it and didn't return it.
Your intentions are not in question here.
Yes.
We can discuss that later. You took something and didn't return it, that's stealing. Same thing with copying and pasting.
Yeah.
That's stealing.
I will say this. I've had a long, career, writing, Tim, like you have. And I do a lot of reading. And when I find a good quote, I will frequently type it on a document, with some other ideas that might become an article. I've always been so paranoid of doing that and forgetting to write the attribution. I've tried to be very careful, what book, what author, what page. Okay. So any writer is probably a little bit paranoid about forgetting to do that. Sure. And then years later you go, oh, this is good. Wow, this is brilliant. I'm glad I thought of this. Every writer probably lives in fear of that. What this woman should have done, Claudine Gay, is she should have said, that was wrong.
Yep.
It was wrong what I did. I was careless.
Here's the right way to do it.
Here's the right way to do it.
Yep.
But, Fred, I don't think that that's the way she's reacted.
No, here is a quote from her letter of resignation yesterday. She said, "It has been distressing to have doubt cast on my commitments to confronting hate and to upholding scholarly rigor, two bedrock values that are fundamental to who I am, and frightening to be subjected to personal attacks and threats fueled by racial animus." End quote.
All right, listen. If it's racism, then you should not stay at that school.
Yep.
Okay? Now, it's a race card being played by this lady, and it's bogus. Okay?
Right.
She got caught red-handed plagiarizing.
Right.
She took other people's work in the past, copied and pasted it basically as her own, submitted that for her doctoral or whatever, and now years later she's been caught, and now she's trying to say, oh, it's racism. Well, it's racism, then don't stay at Harvard. So you're saying it's racist to boot you out of the presidency, but you're glad to take a job as a professor and get $900,000 a year at a racist school, huh? Is that the way
I
this
see what
works?
you're saying. Yeah.
All right, let's move on. No, enough Harvard. Next topic, Fred.
Next topic. Well, Joe Biden apparently.
Next topic, Fred.
He is getting set to go out there and tell the American public that I need to be reelected because...
Does he know this?
Is this from him?
Anyone told him?
Okay.
His campaign directors have told him what to say. He thinks it's a great idea that his campaign theme should be the other side is a threat to democracy. They are a bunch of racists, and I'm here to save the country from that.
This is going to be the theme of his
This
campaign?
is going to be the theme. He will start the campaign year by evoking the Revolutionary War to mark the 3rd anniversary of January 6th. He's going to be talking about that. He's also going to go down to that church in South Carolina where a white individual shot and killed several members.
That's 10
in that
years
church.
old.
Yes.
He's really doing that?
He's going to go down there and do that.
What for? I mean, we're talking about this store. The white supremacist. I don't know if he's a teenager, but he was young man.
Yes, young man.
Went into that church and that was racially motivated.
Yes.
I mean, everybody acknowledges that, but that was like 10, 12 years ago.
I don't think it was
or
that
longer.
Was it?
No.
Huh?
We'll look up how long it was.
10 years ago. Look it up.
It was 2015. Tim, you're right. It's almost 10 years. June 17th, 2015. The Charleston
so you're going back
church
to that
shooting.
church to drag that up again?
Yep.
Dylan Roof.
Yes.
Are you serious? That has been announced by the
Yes.
Biden?
This is the Associated Press quoting the Biden campaign. But here's the thing. The initial thought is that he could run on Bidenomics, but that's not working out really well.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And, of course, they're not going to be talking about what's going on at our southern border. Republicans are. They're sending a delegation down to the border today to Eagle Pass. Jim Jordan is amongst those who are going down. This is what he has to say, cut 5.
Just do one sentence change. That sentence is real simple. No money can be used to process or release into the country any new migrants. The Biden presidency is on pace. At the end of his 4 years, he will have allowed into the country, when you talk about the gotaways and everything else, 12 million illegals. It's not the money, it's the will. Remember what he did on January 20th, 2021. He changed the 3 policies from the Trump administration that were working. He said, no more building the wall, no more remain in Mexico while we evaluate your claim. And he said, when we get you, when you come in, you will be released. No detention, no detaining these individuals, no returning them to their native country. So who can fault people for wanting to come to the greatest country ever?
Yeah. So there you have it.
Wesley, what do you think about this?
I think that insulting the people of your opponent is one of the worst things you can do if you're wanting to get reelected. Insulting the people of your opponent is the worst thing.
Donald Trump does that every day, all day. You think that's a bad idea?
Yes, I do.
Strategy?
Yes, I think it's a terrible strategy to insult the people. Ideally, you would try to win them over by finding some form of, even if it wasn't 70, 80, 90% of common ground, but you would find that one area that really meant something to them.
Right.
And you would try to campaign on that. But back when Hillary Clinton called anybody that votes for Trump are deplorables.
Right.
The basket of deplorables. Black basket of deplorables. That was one instance that I remember that we are turning away from, and the divide and the sharpness on both sides could not be any more obvious, and the line couldn't be any more drawn or sharp on both sides in the political realm in 2024, especially when you're insulting the very people of your opponent.
Well, and to your point, Wesley, that is probably as clear an example as we could find and how Virginia elected a Republican governor.
Yeah,
because the issue, I think, that won that and turned it, I don't know if you can consider it a complete case of blue to red, but what these parents were experiencing at schools and what schools were teaching during the COVID lockdown, that was one of those kinds of issues where you go, as a candidate, let's look for some way to attract people who ordinarily might not vote for us and say, listen, here's where we can agree.
That's right.
Give us a look.
Yep, give us a look. Yep, that's exactly right. But for Biden, what exactly now? Repeat his slogan or his campaign. What his strategy here? Biden's
that the
president.
Republicans, and he says, regardless whether it's Trump or somebody else, Republicans represent a threat to democracy.
Yep, Republican. Yep, there you go.
And so, but I think this is an admission.
All right.
That other things aren't working for the Democratic Party.
Okay, if we get out of our bubble, okay, we'll have our bubbles, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We have our what do you call them?
Echo chamber.
Echo chambers. Good, thank you. That's what I was looking for. You read my mind. Don't read anymore, please.
Okay.
Okay, it's dangerous.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm the strategy. If you're going to drive out Democrat voters, that's going to work. All right, Wesley, here's what I mean by that. We don't think January 6th was an insurrection.
Sure.
But the left does, and they can make a case to the general public that it was a threat to democracy. I mean, people are storming the Capitol. Trump saying to them, go down there and stop the steal. They're going to show that on a loop. Okay? Right. We might say, well, that's ridiculous. Those people weren't trying to have a coup or insurrection. To half the country, listen, more than half the country thinks President Trump was maybe not legally, but responsible for what happened on that day because he was encouraging those people to go down there and confront the process, which ended up with what we saw happen. So, they're going to play that threat to democracy card, and it does work with the Democrats. Okay, so I wouldn't dismiss that. Now the racial thing, where Biden's going to go down to the church in South Carolina, that's just the same old thing. You know, they just play that race card every single day. The Democrats do against the Republicans, but to drag up something that's 8 years old to go down there, nobody's even commemorating. That's just pandering. In the obvious, what Biden is doing right there. But also don't forget, Trump said on an interview the other day he wanted to be a dictator for a day, and he also retweeted. He didn't tweet Truth Social an article which talked about him being a dictator. So I'm just saying that when the left does this, it does work for appealing to their voters, and they're appealing to the independent voters. So we might dismiss all that, threat to democracy and all that, but I'm telling you that there are a lot of people who buy into that.
So you're saying that is a strategy that will, but it's not going to pull. I wouldn't think that would pull anybody that's independent or in the middle. I think what you're saying is that it will turn out the Democrat vote, which is what they need. Because right now they're not going to have I wouldn't think they'd have a very good turnout without that. I do think I agree with you 100% from Biden's strategy. That will work in the sense of turning out more Democratic votes than they would otherwise. I do think you're going to rile people up and get them out that were already Democrats, but I don't think that strategy will win the independent vote, which was my entire point.
Yeah. Well, you may be right.
We're about to find out.
We got to take a break right here. It's time to take a break.
We're getting close. Oh, there it is.
And we've got the Iowa caucuses coming up.
Yeah, coming up.
In let's see, today's that's
a week
that's
from
11
this coming
days.
Monday. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my word.
Coming when?
A week from Monday.
15th.
All right. Well, we can talk about that some if you guys want to. We going to take a short time out right here. You're listening to the radio program Today's Issues on the American Family Radio. Stay with us.
It's my turn.
Here is your host for My Turn, Don Wildmon.
Some time ago, I read the story of an incident which happened during the war between the states. It was such a significant story that I would like to pass it along to you. During heavy fighting in a battle, a soldier from the South assigned the responsibility of carrying the flag for his side, made his way through the battle to a position far out in front of the rest of his army. Planting the flag firmly in the ground, he turned around and found that none of the other soldiers were anywhere near him. A soldier in the ranks saw the color bearer and called out to him, "Bring the colors back down nearer the troops. The fighting is too heavy. We cannot come up any higher." Well, the soldier who was in charge of the flag immediately shouted back, "The flag is already firmly planted. Tell the troops to move up to the flag." You know, there's a world of truth in that story which we need to remember in today's shortcut world. There's a great cry for the standards to be lowered to where the people are, rather than bringing the people up to where the standards fly. Many people today, some of them in responsible positions, are crying out for the standards to be lowered. It's impossible, they say, for the people to come up to the standards. There are two ways for the standards and the people to be joined. One is to bring the standards down to the level where the people are. And one must admit that this is the quickest and easiest solution to the problem. But quite often, the quickest and easiest solution is not the best solution. But there are still people around who would like to bring everything down to the lowest common denominator. The other way of joining the standards and the people is to bring the people up to where the standards are. And as is obvious, this is the most difficult way. This effort to lower the standards is nothing new to man. It's as old as man himself. Even the Nazarene carpenter was urged to lower the standards for fear that some would be excluded. But as any person of mature wisdom would do, he elected not to bring the standards down to the level of the people, but rather to raise the people to the level of the standards. Nothing is ever gained by a lowering of the standards. No battle has ever been won when it followed the lead of a retreating standard bearer. No decent or just cause has ever been helped by a retreat toward mediocrity. Don't expect this effort to lower the standards to end anytime soon. Those who aren't willing to pay the price of moving up to the standards are likely to keep crying for the standards to be lowered to where they are. Somehow they have a twisted notion that a lowering of the standards would make them better soldiers. When you lower the standards, no one is helped except the cowards. And I can't remember a single battle where a coward led any forces to victory. The standards are firmly in place. Move up to where they are.
This has been My Turn with Don Wildmon, a production of the American Family Association.
Jesus said, "Let the little children come to me, and do not hinder them, for the kingdom of heaven belongs to such as these." Matthew 19:14.
American Family Radio. This is today's issues. Email your comments to comments@afr.net. Past broadcasts of today's issues are available for listening and viewing in the archive at afr.net. Now, back to more of today's issues.
Hey, welcome back, everybody, to today's issues on the American Family Radio Network. Thanks for listening to AFR. I'm Tim Wildman with Fred Jackson, Wesley Wildman, and Ed Battagliano, and we thank you for listening. If you want to send us an email, the address is comments@afr.net, comments@afr.net. Have you guys been following this story about Jeffrey Epstein?
A little bit, yeah.
Some.
Okay, he is he's dead, of course. He was a New York businessman / socialite. Can you call a male a socialite? I don't know. It's usually associated with women. For decades, right? Mm-hmm. And he hung out with a lot of rich and powerful people.
Ooh. Hung out.
Huh?
hung out.
What, am I going full 70s there?
No, he quote unquote hung himself, remember?
That's
how we
listen,
died.
That was a completely and totally innocent
I believe
mind.
you. I just felt compelled to point it out.
I have an innocent mind, and sometimes it gets me, I'm naive, and sometimes it gets me in trouble.
All right, sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt. Go ahead.
So that, yeah, no, I understand. I say hung in there. they say he hung himself, right?
Mm-hmm.
I said they say.
They say.
There's a lot of speculation about his death in jail, because some people think he was murdered because the cameras were not working in his cell.
The guards were like asleep or something crazy.
Yeah, and so all right, the Lifetime movie version of his ending is that he was killed, and there's no evidence to support this that I know of yet. Evidence that he was killed because he knew too much on too many rich and powerful people, having to do with his Lolita Express plane and the island. He was convicted of, was it prostitution with minors? Or
it's trafficking.
Yeah, he pled guilty and was convicted in 2008 of procuring a child for prostitution and soliciting a prostitute.
Well, he was well known for this kind of activity with minors, girls, and he basically had a woman who's in prison today. What's her name?
Ghislaine Maxwell, is it? How do you pronounce it? Ghislaine?
Maxwell.
She's in prison today for her associations with him and helping him facilitate that illegal trafficking. That trafficking with the young girls. Anyway, the point is, any day now, a federal judge may release the unredacted names of a lot. I think it's unredacted. Yeah, of a lot of names of very famous, rich, powerful people who were associated and hung out with. With Jeffrey Epstein, and even flew on his private plane with him. Different various places. So there's a lot of people. Probably Bill Gates has been mentioned. Well, it's no secret that Bill Gates, flew around with him. Anyway, there are other people too that there are a lot of people probably worried right now that their names are going to be on here and they're going to have to explain themselves.
The most prominent name that's been mentioned in recent stories about this is Bill Clinton. Mm-hmm. But already, there are people saying, okay, just because your name's on the list doesn't mean you went to the island.
Right.
And at least some of Clinton's supporters are saying, yes, he flew on the jet, but the jet was used to go to other places. So you have that.
Is that confirmed, or that's their response?
That's their response so far. By the way, the story this morning was the release of that list has been delayed.
Till the 22nd.
Till the 22nd. So
150 people.
Yes.
On the list.
So we'll have to wait until the 22nd, unless there's more delays.
Yeah. The 20. Is that a federal judge?
I think it's a district, the United States District Court for New York, I think.
Okay. All right, go ahead. Next story, Fred.
Did you guys want to talk about Iowa?
Sure.
That's coming up. Well, the campaigns especially for Trump and for DeSantis and for Nikki Haley are in full swing. Nikki Haley, by the way, has raised $24 million in the last 3 months. $24 million.
Wow.
Didn't she get the Koch brothers?
Oh, yeah. Money? Yeah. I would imagine there was a nice check from them.
I think one of the Koch brothers is deceased. So
yes.
Koch, the gentleman, I forgot his first name. The Koch money.
Yeah. Kristi Noem is going to Iowa to campaign for former President Trump. DeSantis, of course, has quite a team there. But we'll be covering the story that night. It's Monday the 15th, so a week from this coming Monday. The caucus is there. But there was a very interesting story. I put it, and it's actually a video story on our own website, afn.net. And the Associated Press, most of the time I'm very critical, but they did a very decent job of the divide within the evangelical community in Iowa between Trump and DeSantis. There are strong forces on both sides within the evangelical community for those two candidates. So one of the interesting stories coming out that night is how that community, the evangelical community, which is very powerful in Iowa,
right?
Very powerful, how they're going to split this time around. did a nice history of when Mike Huckabee was running, how he won Iowa. Ted Cruz won Iowa. But it doesn't always mean the winner goes on to be successful.
Well, Ted Cruz won Iowa, but according to President Trump, he stole it. You remember that?
Mm-hmm.
So I think.
Yes.
Huh?
Yes.
President Trump accused Senator Cruz of stealing Iowa when he beat him there. Of course, Trump went on to win. So just because you win or lose Iowa doesn't mean the race is over. Obviously, necessarily. I do think with Governor DeSantis, he's invested everything in winning Iowa. And if he doesn't win Iowa, it's a huge blow to his campaign. I don't see how he makes it beyond if he doesn't win. I think he has to win, not finish second, third. That's my opinion. In terms of the momentum, he needs something to inject some momentum to be able to. And Nikki Haley, same way. I don't know that Nikki Haley has to necessarily win Iowa, but she probably needs to win New Hampshire, and then tie Trump in, or DeSantis, whoever. She needs to do well in her home state of South Carolina.
Has there ever been this big of a margin between the leader going into Iowa and anybody below this big of a margin that went on to win?
What do you mean?
For example, let's go DeSantis here. Let's just look at it as is. What's the likelihood of DeSantis or Haley?
I think that listen, from what I know about Iowa and talking to people there,
okay,
it's a different process. Okay, it's not a primary. It's a caucus. It's different. It's more labor intensive, I guess you could say. It takes more dedication. And what I've heard is that the Governor DeSantis has 50,000 people or so committed to caucus for him. I don't know how you get that. I don't know. You sign your name somewhere. I guess you do. That's how they know the numbers. So he and his campaign, and then he's got Bob Vanderplatz, our friend there, the pro-family leader, on his team. He's got the governor.
Kim Reynolds.
He's got Steve Dace, a friend of ours, who's a radio show, who they've all endorsed Governor DeSantis. And again, he's put a lot of money and time and energy and effort there. He went to every county. Governor DeSantis visited every county in Iowa. So he's basically been living there for the most part. So I'm saying that, but he knows, Governor DeSantis knows, he has to win Iowa. So that's, if he doesn't, that's not good.
That was the question. The primary question I was getting to is if he loses Iowa or Haley or Ramaswamy, if anybody other than Trump loses, do they have any chance moving forward?
You mean wins?
Historically.
Oh, Trump does. Trump can move forward.
Well, other than Trump. I'm sorry. Anybody. No. So can
it depends Haley on for Nikki Haley. I would say it depends on if it's a blowout. I don't think she's expected to win Iowa.
Okay.
I think it's the pressure's on DeSantis to win Iowa for the reasons I just mentioned. Nikki Haley, she got the endorsement of the former New Hampshire governor, Sununu, the Republican governor there. So she wants to take, she wants to win in New Hampshire. So we'll see what happens there. But
I'm sorry, go ahead. I was going to say I'm going to exclude Vivek Ramaswamy. I don't think he really has a shot in terms of DeSantis.
He doesn't.
And
he doesn't. You're right. He doesn't have a chance. Go ahead.
In terms of DeSantis and Haley, I think the first three. I don't say primaries because Iowa's a caucus, but the first three contests, Iowa, New Hampshire, South Carolina, will determine whether or not anyone has some staying power to stay in and make it. You've said this all along, Tim. It really needs to become a two-person race if anyone's going to close that gap. It seems to me that the dynamic in terms of the GOP is that Trump, and this goes to what you were talking about, Wesley, Trump is so far ahead because in the minds of a lot of Republican voters, he's the Republican incumbent.
There you go.
It's like he's running for a second term. And again, I don't want to get into arguments about, if 2020 was legitimate or anything, but people believe he is still owed a second term.
That's right.
He's being treated unfairly by X, Y, and Z. And that's why he's so far ahead. So to your question, Wesley, it's extremely difficult for a challenger to beat an incumbent. And if Trump is being considered as the incumbent for a lot of Republican voters, that's why he's so far ahead. And in order to kind of break through, someone's going to have to win one of those three contests.
Well, and also, too, Trump, although it was once out of two, he did win.
Yes, he won
2016.
Yeah, right.
So he has proven that he can win, too.
Yes.
So he has that on his side, too, as well, and people remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's coming up. When did you say, Fred?
It's a week from this coming Monday. Now, there is a debate on CNN next Wednesday evening, the 10th. It's really interesting. Ramaswamy didn't make it. Didn't make the criteria.
Right. Yeah.
But dropped out, really.
Yeah.
Oh.
Honestly.
Beg pardon?
I think, in essence, he's dropped out.
Yeah.
Ramaswamy.
He didn't make the criteria for CNN.
Who did?
Yeah. So Trump, DeSantis, and Haley did, but I'm imagining Trump will not show up for that debate. So we are going to have probably a really strong debate between DeSantis and Nikki Haley.
And that is before the caucus.
It is before the caucus. Yes. Should be very interesting.
That's a week from tonight.
That's a week from tonight.
Okay.
You're exactly right.
Well, that's going to be interesting because those two have gone after each other.
Yes.
Because Ramaswamy, I'm really surprised. I don't know why. I guess his percentages are too low for him to be in the debate. But that's going to be a pretty interesting debate to see whether they continue to go after each other or whether they go after Donald Trump.
Yeah.
So Chris Christie didn't make it either, right?
He did not. He did not.
Was that a joke?
Well, he was in the last one.
Okay, all right.
I
Fair
thought,
enough.
Boy, if he's ahead of Ramaswamy, that would be a shocker. All right. Well,
all right.
Next story.
Well, if we had a drum roll, we could drum roll into this next story. U-Haul has come out with its latest stats on what cities Americans are moving to. I just ended something with a preposition. Very sorry on that front.
That's disgusting.
That's absolutely disgusting. Florida figures well in this. No big shock there. Palm Bay, Melbourne, Florida is number one. Ocala, Florida, number two.
Palm Bay?
Beg pardon?
Excuse me. All right. Did you say these are destinations in Florida that people are moving to?
Yes, in order of business on U-Haul's
He
list.
wants to know what community you said in Florida.
Palm Bay, Melbourne.
Palm Bay.
I've heard of Palm Beach, never heard of Palm Bay, but I've heard of Melbourne.
I've heard of Melbourne.
I think we're getting distracted from the point here, guys. We're getting off here.
I'm wanting to be accurate.
Okay. I guess Palm Bay is one of those communities where if you have to ask, you can't afford it.
There you go. Can we get the spelling of that? No, I'm just kidding. Carry on, Fred.
Ocala, Florida, number two.
That's north of Gainesville.
Gainesville, okay. Number three is Charleston, North Charleston, South Carolina.
That's a pretty area.
Number four, Sarasota, Bradenton, Florida.
Mm-hmm.
And number five, Austin, Texas. That's where
all the liberals are
That's
going.
where the liberals from California are going.
There you go. Yeah.
College Station, Bryan, Texas. Charlotte, North Carolina. Huntsville, Alabama. Dallas, Texas. Myrtle Beach, North Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. That's the top 10. We're back into Kissimmee, Florida, or Kissimmee, Florida.
Is that so? You're saying the U-Haul company? That's where they send their trucks are going mostly.
Yes. We don't have the from, but my guess is having looked at the stats, the Census Bureau put out stats, I think it was last week. California is where people are exiting.
Sure. Well, now,
so San Francisco and Chicago aren't on that list of destinations.
No.
Or Seattle.
Or Boston.
Or Portland.
Or Detroit. People. By the way, one of the new residents of Florida is Sean Hannity. He announced it yesterday on his radio show.
Moving from New York.
New York down to Florida. Yeah.
The free state of Florida is what they call it.
The free state of Florida.
Now, I would say this. That's very interesting. Okay, now this I'm not being judgmental here. I've used U-Hauls just about all my whole life, but I was in the ministry. It's cheaper if you are moving yourself. It's cheaper to do that. You hire, you rent a U-Haul and you pack it up. And in fact, when my wife was pregnant with our son, or expecting, with our son, I packed up our entire house and loaded up U-Haul all by myself. I just had no help. But so I guess what I'm saying is, I'm wondering if there are people in the higher end of the income spectrum who would ordinarily just pay Mayflower or some other company to come in, pack it up, and move it. I wonder where they're moving. I wonder that would be interesting.
Across the board movers. Yeah. North American Van Lines.
Right, something like that. Anyway, that's very interesting.
Yes.
With U-Haul.
But you know what? It's not surprising.
No.
And people have various reasons for moving. Well, but what we've seen in Florida is it's a great place to live. It all started with DeSantis and his COVID, removing the COVID restrictions.
Yep.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
It's been
where
amazing.
Where are the Mexican cartels moving people, Fred?
Now, the thing is, if you work for the Mexican cartel, they pay to have someone move you.
Yeah,
you don't have to move yourself.
Chicago is one of their top destinations.
Chicago's doing really well.
They have really good benefits, good burial benefits too. If something quote unquote happens to you.
I was watching I guess it was a semi-live shot this morning from Chicago. We had people living in tents on the street, and it's snowing.
That's around the corner.
Yeah,
that's good.
The worst of winter is coming to Chicago, and now they're saying like New York is supposed to get a big snowstorm, that sort of thing. Regardless,
it's going to be tragic.
It is.
Die.
It is.
And Mayor Adams in New York said people are going to be sleeping on the streets. That's just unavoidable. They don't have any more space in their hotels to house people who are here illegally. There are two people to blame here.
Yes.
One is Biden, President Biden. On the border, just a complete disaster. He just basically said, "Y'all come, world," and they're coming.
Yep.
So I mean, he said this before the election. Yep. Basically, as Fred, as you quoted, if you quoted him before, he wanted a surge at the border. Well, he got it. Mm-hmm. So Biden doesn't believe in stopping people from coming here illegally. He helps them out. That's just the way it is. Secondly, I blame the people who are coming here.
Yes.
Because they're breaking into our country.
Yes.
And they know it. Mm-hmm. And I'm sorry that they have a situation in their home country that's makes them want to leave, but doesn't give you the right to walk into our country illegally and do what you want to.
Right.
That's breaking the law. So your first act as coming into America is breaking the law. You just flood over our borders and the asylum process is completely broken. These people, a lot of them, Central America and South America, they go right through Mexico. Well, asylum, international law is asylum. You're supposed to appeal in the first country that you come to when you leave the one that you're fleeing for persecution.
Right.
These people they're not coming for asylum. Granted, they're coming for a chance at a better life.
Some are, some of them are.
Yeah, the vast majority of them probably. You got some bad actors in there. You got a lot of Chinese. You got a lot of Islamic terrorists. That'll probably soon be known. But listen, if you can't, I don't know a country in the world that doesn't defend their borders. Mm-hmm. And if you got to put troops on the border to stop people, Hungary did this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
right.
Israel, they don't let people just walk in there. No, and now some of Europe does. They're broken too, but I don't know a country in the world, with the exception of a few European countries, where you just let people come by the millions and don't even track them or keep up with them. Anyway.
Well, the best thing that's happened, and I didn't even see it coming, but I was happy to see places like Texas and others that are shipping the illegal immigrants to the locations in which they are
sanctuary cities. They're welcome.
Yeah, where they would say, it's like from a distance they're saying, "What are y'all doing here? We should be helping anybody that wants help." Blah blah blah. But that at the same time they're not the ones having to deal with it on a daily basis like Texas is, which is why it's a good thing for them to give a little dose of reality by shipping that. Because if you don't, that's the only response if you have a president like Biden who is unwilling to do anything about it. That's your only response if you're a bordering country.
Right.
Let me say one thing about the Governor Abbott from Texas and these other places. They're not forcing these illegal immigrants to get on the buses with guns to their head.
That's right.
These people are going there to these cities like Chicago and New York and Boston and Denver and San Francisco and L.A. They're going consensually. Is that the right way to say that? They're going on their own volition. They want to go. Why do they want to go to these places? Because they know these places are sanctuary cities. Mm-hmm. Dallas is not. Houston isn't, that I know of. Oklahoma City isn't. So Phoenix isn't, I don't think. Maybe I'm wrong about that. But I'm just saying that they want to go to these places because they also know that these big liberal cities are compelled by law to provide for them. Mm-hmm. Shelter, for example. In New York, they put them in hotels and pay for it. So if you're going to provide incentive for people coming to your cities who are coming here illegal, you're going to be swamped now because Biden's opened the floodgates, and a lot of these people are saying this. I want to go to New York. I want to go to Chicago. I want to go to why? Because they have to pay to take care of you. And now in California, Newsom has said that we're going to. I don't know if they passed it or they're going to pass a law where they pay for everybody's health care.
That's right.
Free health care. Even if you're here illegally, they pay for all your health care. So.
Which is one of the problems they're having in Southern California as a result of that type of policy is that their own citizens aren't having beds and they're not having the health care that their own citizens need because it's overwhelmed by illegal.
Yes.
Right.
And for many years, our words, I've said this before, our words and our language have been hijacked by the left because even the mainstream media and even ourselves, we catch ourselves saying immigrants. These are illegal immigrants.
Yes.
They're breaking the law.
Mm-hmm.
And so you have illegal immigrants breaking the law in Southern California and taking up medical care from the born citizens of California.
Yeah.
I mean,
listen,
it's that simple.
Sorry, we're all sympathetic to people who are poor and, in poverty and they live in countries that are terrible condition, but we can't take the world. We can't take everybody in the world who lives in a country that's in a corrupt or bad condition. We can't afford that. We can't take everybody. Right. So to say no and to control your borders is not xenophobic or racist, like the left often accuses us of.
It's something I've pointed out too before is the irony here is that if you ask President Biden or anybody on his staff or anybody on the left side here, America is racist. Okay, we don't care for people. We're homophobic. All these things, they criticize America for these things, but yet we're wanting more people to come here. Yeah, experience the racism, experience the homophobia. This doesn't make sense. If America is such a bad place, that we've got to revolutionize and reform it so bad from a far left ideology. If it's that bad, why are you wanting to wave people in?
If it's that bad, you would think that the left would be the one wanting to build the wall.
Yes.
We're doing you a favor, folks. Yes. We're keeping you out of it.
Do not come here.
That's right.
You will experience systemic racism.
That's right, yeah.
And do not come to America. Stay away.
Yeah.
Homophobia.
It seems to me to be unloving to welcome them in.
Yes.
It's like a spider welcoming in the flies to
if you're
a racist
leftist
country.
and believe we're fundamentally racist and homophobic.
Think about that over the break.
Yeah.
All right. We shall take a short time out right here for more news. And then, Fred, thank you.
You bet.
Steve Paisley Jordahl will come into the studio and
enlighten us.
Announce himself in 5 minutes. Stay with us.
The views and opinions expressed in this broadcast may not necessarily reflect those of the American Family Association or American Family Radio.
Faith, family, freedom. American Family Radio.
Moms, are you fed up with the trash our children are exposed to, such as TV shows, movies, and music?
I've had it up to here. Absolutely. It breaks my heart.
1 Million Moms is a community of moms who are successfully standing against the evils of the entertainment media.
Can I really make a difference?
You can. Visit 1millionmoms.com.
This is American Family Radio, a listener-supported ministry of the American Family Association.
American Family News, almost to you. A deadly explosion in Iran follows the killing of a top Hamas leader in Lebanon. Trey Yingst has the latest developments in the Middle East from Tel Aviv.
Breaking news out of southeast Iran, where a pair of explosions rocked the city of Kerman, killing at least 103 people. The blast taking place at a ceremony to commemorate the 4-year anniversary of the death of Iranian General Qasem Soleimani. The explosions taking place near the cemetery where he is buried. These developments out of Iran do come as Israel is bracing for the possibility of a retaliatory attack after a drone strike yesterday in Beirut killed Hamas's deputy chairman, Salah al-Aroukhri. And today, the leader of Hamas, Ismail Haniyeh, made his first statement about that killing, calling his deputy a martyr, adding that he joins those killed in Gaza.
Meanwhile, the U.S. is reporting another attack on commercial ships in the Red Sea.
No damage was reported in what U.S. Central Command says is the 24th attack against merchant shipping since November 19th. CENTCOM says multiple ships in the area reported the impact of anti-ship ballistic missiles in the southern Red Sea, and dozens of lives were at risk from the illegal attack. The Iranian-backed Houthi militant organization says it's been targeting ships traveling to Israel to show support for Palestinians in Gaza, which they plan to continue doing until the war in Gaza ends. The Houthis have threatened to attack U.S. warships if the group is targeted. In Washington, Ryan Schmelz, Fox News.
Despite being the party's frontrunner and holding a high place in the polls, former President Donald Trump has not appeared in any GOP debates for the 2024 primary. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis says the former president should be held to the same standards as other Republicans and show up to these debates and answer questions.
I think he owes answers to those questions. He has not been willing to do that. Obviously, if you go by polling, it hasn't hurt. But I think now that we're in the new year, I think voters do expect you to answer those questions.
New Jersey Senator Robert Menendez is facing additional bribery accusations, according to a superseding indictment unsealed on Tuesday. Menendez is now accused of accepting bribes and gifts in exchange for helping to benefit Qatar as part of a years-long corruption scheme from 2021 through 2023, 1 year longer than originally thought. Christine Serranos-Glasner is the mayor of Mendham, New Jersey. She's running for the seat held by Menendez. She said this news is troubling.
Troubling, but not surprising, right? I mean, this is actually bigger than Gold Bar Bob Menendez. This goes into the very heart of Democratic politics, right? He has been, in some cases, it's been perpetrated by Democrats, and he's been enabled. So people have continued to support this kind of behavior, and it's not what New Jersey deserves, and it's not what we need to look at in 2024. We need to return integrity to this seat.
The new year is underway and education is on the minds of many parents. Bronson Woodruff has more.
As parents continue to deal with problems in the public school system, many have decided to homeschool their kids, a trend that started even before the coronavirus lockdowns in 2020. Will Estrada is senior counsel with the Homeschool Legal Defense Association. He said that homeschooling rates showed about 2 million kids across the nation were homeschooled before 2020, and they've stayed high since.
But the incredible thing has been that so many parents and students got a taste of the freedom and opportunities that homeschooling offers, and they never looked back. We have seen the numbers of homeschoolers remain steady anywhere from 4 to 6 million. The fascinating thing has been that those numbers are not going down.
He cited issues the public school system is facing right now that could be possible reasons why homeschooling rates could increase. These could be behavior issues in school and schools not doing enough about it, school shutdowns from teachers going on strike over wages and more, and controversy over books and testing materials.
We talk daily with people who are calling our office saying, our kids are in public school. We tried putting them back in again after of the pandemic, and it's just not working. We want to go back to homeschooling. How do we do it? So we expect that the numbers will continue to at least remain the same. And more parents are saying, we tried homeschooling, we liked it, and we're going to continue it. So that's what we expect for the year ahead.
I'm Bronson Woodruff.
More news online at afn.net and download the AFN mobile app. I'm Rusty Pugh.
The world around us is constantly challenging the way we think. That's why we need a constant source of information that's based on the unchanging Word of God. I'm Jeff Chambly, and I invite you to join me for The Stand Radio, a weekly program that highlights the latest trends in culture, faith, and family. You'll hear insightful interviews with a biblical worldview application. The Stand Radio, Saturdays at 4 p.m. and Sundays at 8 p.m. Central on American Family Radio.
Today's Issues continues on AFR with your host, Tim Wildmon, President of the American Family Association.
Hey, welcome back, everybody, to the program Today's Issues on the American Family Radio Network. Thanks for listening to AFR. We'll be here for the next 20 minutes. Ed, folks want to join us on the internet. How can they do that?
Well, if they want to watch the live video stream, you can do that, folks. There are 3 ways for you to access that video stream. One is to go to Facebook. Another is to go to YouTube and search for Today's Issues. On YouTube, it's Today's Issues Live. Or you can go to our own streaming platform, streaming.afa.net, streaming.afa.net. Very quick and easy to sign up for an account there, and you can watch not only the live video stream for this program, but many other programs on American Family Radio.
Steve Paisley Jordahl joins us now. Wesley Wildmon in studio as well. So, Ed, Wesley, Steve, and yours truly. Good morning, Steve.
Good morning, everybody. How y'all doing?
How you doing?
Good.
No, I asked first.
Yes, you did.
I'm doing well. Yeah. I'm doing well. It's a good day here in Mississippi.
Off to 2024, off to a good start for you, huh?
Yeah. Yeah. So, my wife is a little bit of a night owl, right?
Okay.
And we tend to stay up a little later. So last night it had been too many nights in a row, so we decided we turned in about 10 o'clock. You know that great feeling when you wake up in the middle of the night and you look at your clock and it's midnight and you still have 5 hours left to sleep? It's like the best feeling in the world. Oh, yeah. So,
well, only if you can go back to sleep is that the best feeling in the world.
It's true.
Now, I got a question before we get too serious here.
Yeah.
Because we get real serious here.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Have you added any Paisley shirts for 2024?
I don't think I added a Paisley tie. Actually, a listener gave me a Paisley tie.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. No, nothing specifically Paisley, but I am adding to the shirt collection.
Okay, fair enough.
I am adding to the shirt collection.
I like it.
Yeah. So, hey, folks, we've got a culture of young people right now who are very well too concerned about identity, about what they call themselves, about what you call them,
and what other people call them.
It is a little bit out of control. I have to say, I'm glad I'm not 20 years old and looking to date because I wouldn't know what to do with this woman. Listen to Cody from Cut 10.
Hi there. I'm Cody. Pronouns em, ers, or zem, zers, or really any neo-pronouns that aren't z, her. I am a white transmasculine femme non-binary, temporarily mostly able-bodied, neurodivergent, obsessive-compulsive, chronically ill, culturally Jewish, Unitarian Universalist, non-monogamous, demi-low romantic, gray demi-bisexual, survivor of acute and complex trauma, millennial, and cat parent in mental health recovery. My identities are fluid and ever-changing and don't like boundaries.
And that was all in one breath, by the way. All in one breath.
Real?
I can.
That's not a spoof.
I can deduce that. Is deduce the correct word?
I knew what you meant. Not sure if it's the correct word, but I know what you mean.
Or deduct?
Deduct, yeah.
Okay,
simplify.
She used a lot of words to say this. I'm messed up in the head.
Yeah.
She could have just said, I'm messed up in the head big time. I think that would have worked for everybody right there.
You'd get the picture.
Yeah.
That's a big picture explanation. And she even mentioned the product of trauma.
Drama, yeah.
And so, listen, I don't know what's happened. I know nothing about that. I'm just going to tell you, from that description and from the sound of the voice, I don't know if that's actually a boy or a girl.
Yes, right.
In reality.
It was a girl.
It's a girl. Okay.
Name Cody.
All right. Name.
Yeah.
Well,
Cody.
who knows what she was named?
So I'm just going to say, it sounds to me like that poor girl. That's heartbreaking to me. It's frustrating because they expect everyone to play along with that. People like Cody.
It's good if
but
you
it
use
is
the they pronoun, though. That's
yes.
good.
Well, I'm expanding it beyond this individual, but that's heartbreaking because something did happen to that girl that has messed her up.
I can't imagine being a young person, not just dating, but just having to navigate school and friendships and meeting new people and having all of this out in front of you, and you can misstep at every possible moment. Don't call me that.
And that's why there was it's been a couple years, but there was a poll that were for middle school students, middle and high school students. And the middle school and high school students just a couple years back in the polling said that they were basically fed up with having to keep up with that type of cultural transformation.
Yeah.
That's why, now obviously at that age they're not uber conservative, but statistically they're more conservative at that point in their age than any other generation that's been documented because of the inconsistency and the stress to have to keep up with what all that person just said.
Yeah, and you know what's strange about that is, to what you're talking about, Wesley, it's not like a kid in an inner city school who says, you know what, I like country music, and everyone else goes, oh, okay, well, that's cool. All right,
Sure.
whatever floats your boat.
Sure.
No, these folks in the trans and the rest of the LGBTQ plus community, they demand
That's right.
obedience.
That's right.
To what? So the stress you're talking about of saying, "Oh, I'm sorry, I messed up. I don't want to get the tension."
Yeah.
It's
You're
not
spending
like,
your day trying to figure out how to walk around eggshells of this type of movement that you're getting from the LGBTQ plus community. And this is also a reflection, to go further, of the going along with, for lack of a better word, of this type of behavior and this type, because the entertainment, media, even education are going along with it. You're seeing this in the bills, the bathroom bills. You're seeing this in the sports, biological men and women's sports. You're seeing this going along with. Now, you got your pushbacks for sure. You got groups like us. You have individuals that are pushing back. When we're doing our part, we're making some ground. But in a lot of cases, you're seeing a lot of going along with.
Yeah.
And you're going to get more of this if you incentivize it. And you
I don't understand why they care. Well, maybe I do, but why they care so much what I think about them. This young lady, if she were to meet me and know a little bit about me, I'm sure I would be fascist, I'd be racist, I'd be homophobic, I'd be all these things, and I'd look at her and I'd shrug my shoulders and say, I really don't care what you think about me. I know, you're welcome to your opinion. Let's move on.
Opinion,
But no, they have to. Oh man, it's like it's violence.
Well,
It's
you see the videos of some of these folks. I don't have an Instagram account, but I'll see it on Twitter, X, and they post it, and they're just breaking down in tears, sobbing because they were quote unquote misgendered.
Yeah.
You know, it's just it's a really bizarre moment for America. I don't know how this is going to end. It looks like it's going to end badly, though.
Yeah.
For somebody.
For anybody who's asking, my pronouns are His Majesty and His Highness. Royal Highness. That's what anybody who needs to use neo-pronouns can use those for me.
I'm going to try that at home, Steve.
There you go. Steve said, and then you can quote. Make sure you get the quotations right, though.
I'm going to tell Diane.
Attribute to
you when you talk about me. I want His Majesty to proceed whatever it is you're going to say. And she will reply, well, Your Majesty, enjoy the couch tonight.
And it would.
Yes. Anyway.
Oh, man.
All right.
All right, next story, Steve.
From the sublime to the ridiculous to the more sublime, Senator Bernie Sanders of Vermont is demanding that his congressional colleagues reject a $10 billion military funding for Israel bill that's being considered, calling the war grossly disproportionate and immoral, the war against the Hamas terrorists. He says that it's disproportionate. Here's my question. We talk about a proportional response sometimes with conflicts. In other words, when Iran bombed some military bases in Saudi Arabia that were American military bases, wherever they were, Syria, do we go and declare war and send nuclear bombs over? No, a proportional response is we take out a couple of theirs and just to let them know that we're there. But this is not what's going on in Israel. Israel's fighting for its survival, and to say that it has to be a proportional response, they only killed 200 Israelis, so you really got to stop at about 200, 250, right? Well, because otherwise it's not proportional.
Israel can't listen to that, and that's ridiculous.
Right.
1,200, I think 1,200 Israelis were slaughtered on that day, October the 6th? 7th. And when you have a military response to terrorism like that, you have to be overwhelming. And you what Israel is having to do in war is, as I've said before, war is hell, and it's awful, and innocent people are killed. By innocent, I mean non-combatants. In Gaza, they're being killed. They are as a result of the bombing that Israel's doing. Unfortunately, that happens in war. But Israel, looking at the big picture, has to take out Hamas, which is trying to eliminate the Jews from Israel. Kill them from the river to the sea.
Right.
So this is, Ed, you use the expression sometimes, zero-sum game.
Yeah.
There's going to be a winner and there's going to be a loser, and Israel's not going to lose. That's what they're saying. So we, Israel, basically will take the criticisms that are going to come our way. And listen, the UN's always been against Israel. And basically the international community, so to speak, has always been against Israel. The reason is there are many more Arab countries than there are Israel, just one Jewish nation. So
right.
You got all those Arab countries in northern Africa and in the Middle East that, and they persuade people like, Russia and China and other countries to vote against Israel in the United Nations. Really, in the United Nations, which, by the way, we should probably get out of. It's it's anti-American too. But usually standing with Israel is the U.S. and maybe Great Britain, and that's about it, typically on issues. So, Israel has to do what Israel has to do to defend their country, and to because their survival is at stake. So their very survival is at stake, and they have to get rid of the Hamas organization's ability to attack them militarily or with weapons. That's what they're trying to do. They're not going to be able to get rid of the "we hate Jews" philosophy.
Right.
No.
That's just an ideology. It's hard to crush. But anyway, our next story, Steve.
Okay. Yeah, let's go on. There's a group in Texas, a nonprofit called True the Vote, and their purpose in life. True Dat. True Dat Vote. Their purpose in life is to make sure that elections are fair and that the right votes are counted. They're the people that or a group that wants to clean up the voter rolls so that you don't have thousands and thousands of people that could vote illegally because they're still on the roll in one county when they live in a different one. Anyway, they were sued. They went into to Georgia and demanded and asked that the state clean up its voter rolls. And they, in fact, brought 250,000 voters that they found that were still registered in one place but lived in a different place. So the law there says that if you do that, the state has to look at these and cull the voter rolls if possible. Well, Stacey Abrams' group sued. Fair Fight Action was her group, and she sued True the Vote, saying that it had illegally intimidated these voters. Well, a judge stepped in. This is Judge Stephen Jones stepped in and said, no, there was no intimidation going on. There were no names. There were names, but there were no names being made public, and no one contacted these people. It was public records. It said they moved, and so they've won a voter intimidation case.
And by the way, this U.S. District Judge Steve Jones was an appointee of President Barack Obama.
Was he?
Yeah. Hey, Wesley, let me ask you this. So it's always stunning to me how the left makes these kinds of arguments to I would think that everyone, people, conservatives, liberals, whatever, would all agree that voter rolls should be kept up to date.
Sure.
Dead people should be removed.
That's right.
When somebody moves, their new address, they should be identified with their new address.
Right.
The name go with the old address needs to be purged.
They can't be in there multiple times if you have two addresses.
Can't be in there multiple times. So how in the world or why do you think Stacey Abrams' group would consider that voter intimidation and not be in favor of making sure? Because conservatives might be on there twice, too. I mean, it seems like it would help everybody if the voter rolls were accurate.
Well, historically, these types of efforts go against the outcome of or hurt the Democrats more than it helps the Republicans or hurts the Republicans. That's my opinion. I can't, I want to be careful what I say because I don't have a lot of hard evidence for that, but It seems to me, why else would you do it if you didn't think that there was some benefit?
Yeah.
If there wasn't some benefit to help you, logically, it doesn't make sense.
Yes.
And of course, I'm saying what a lot of people think on the Republican side. I don't in front of me have any evidence for that.
Yeah.
Meaning I don't have any evidence that Democrats are voting twice as much that are dead than Republicans.
Right.
Or anything like that. But it just, you don't see, you don't hardly see many Republicans doing the same thing that she's doing.
Yeah. Right.
So.
Yeah, it's you can know that Stacey Abrams, in fact, she did, complained about the election that she lost. It was unfair and there was cheating going on.
Yeah.
But 2020, man, the most secure election ever in the history. You're stupid if you dare think that anything untoward went on there. Anyway, speaking of Democrat-appointed judges, did you hear that a judge in D.C. has dismissed three of the 5 civil complaints against former President Trump in connection with the death of Capitol Police Officer Brian Sicknick. The judge was Amit Mehta, and he also was an Obama appointee.
Okay.
And this relatives of Mr. Sicknick brought the suit. He was at the riot on January 6th. He was pepper sprayed, but he went home. He was fine when he went home. He had some a stroke or two, and he died from that. Now, the coroner ruled that he died of natural causes, but that all that transpired on January 6th played a role in his condition. It maybe triggered a weakness that was already there. But Judge Amit Mehta has dismissed 3 of the 5 civil counts. This is the civil counts. This isn't his.
So the family.
Yeah.
I was just going to ask. So the family of Officer Sicknick had sued in civil court,
wanting damages
from Donald Trump
and 2 others.
Okay.
Yeah. So a little bit of an untangling of a legal mess, but he's got a lot more to go through.
Well, it's sad, tragic, and unfortunate, everything that unfolded on January the 6th. This was a police officer. It was a Capitol police officer?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay. So he died the next day?
Yes.
Of a stroke?
Yes.
And his family tried to sue who?
Donald Trump and 2 other of the rioters. Now, I'm not sure if the January 6th rioters, Julian Catter and George Tanios, I don't know if their charges were dismissed as well. They actually pepper sprayed the guy, but President Trump's was.
Yeah, so it was dismissed. You can't make a connection there legally over a health issue that could have happened another day,
right?
Where the Capitol policeman unfortunately passed away from a stroke, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Okay. However, if that's my family member, I'm ticked.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I'm angry because I'm saying to myself, you know what? My brother died. He was pepper sprayed on the Capitol steps trying to do his job, and it caused him a lot of stress, and he had a stroke as a result the next day. And so I hold the people who did this to him responsible for it. That's how most people would feel if it happened to their father or their brother or their cousin or something like that. But you can't draw I don't think, and this is what the judge found, right? It was Obama judge?
It was an Obama judge, yes.
Yeah, the Obama judge said we can't prove one way or another that the man died as a result of what happened on the day before at the Capitol. He may have had a stroke anyway, So you see what I'm saying?
Right.
So I see both sides to that.
But now,
story.
gunshot wounds are a direct result of COVID deaths, though.
Well, that's true.
So that does happen. It can't,
are you talking about people who died of gunshot wounds and then during COVID, and then the hospital would mark them died of COVID?
Right.
Yeah.
That can't happen. It's out there. You gotta be careful now.
It's right there on the death certificate. Died of COVID.
Those lines can be connected.
COVID lead poisoning.
That's right.
Yeah. All right. Next story, Steve.
All right. One of the largest journalistic enterprises is the Associated Press. It is, they say, Associated Press anyway, says that it is seen or read by several billion people a day, its news accounts. Well, we have found out the Free Beacon is reporting that there are activist groups that have been funding the AP, sending money to the Associated Press, hoping to transform their coverage of global warming in one case, and there's other issues as well that other groups are trying to buy their way into the AP. But the AP has taken the money, and the AP's coverage has been dutifully noted as quite hysterical when it comes to climate change. So be careful what you listen to, folks, because...
and I'm sorry, go ahead, Tim.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, on our own news outlet, AFN, American Family News, AFN.net, we have to edit.
Heavily edit.
Associated Press material.
Why do we use it in the first place?
Well, because there aren't a lot of news outlets where you can, in essence, rent their videos.
Basically a monopoly.
Yeah. It used to be UPI. I forget what that was. Press International.
We do use the Associated UPI's been out of business for decades.
Well, Reuters is still around, but AP is the most used, and it's more affordable.
We use their videos for stories, their video news stories,
and their
written news stories. But we edit them. We edit the bias.
I want to talk about the alligator, Steve. Go.
All right.
Do we have time for that?
We have time for it.
We can do this. So, by the way, let me find there. Do you guys know what?
No, we don't.
This guy's name is Fred Boyce, and he's a seasoned herpetologist.
That's snakes.
Herpetologist.
Yeah, herpetologist. Anyway, it's reptiles. He has been. This is a viral video that happened in 2012, but it just now resurfaced. This guy decided to wrestle an alligator, almost lost his arm down in Florida. 250-pound alligator. He goes and throws a jacket over the gator's eyes, gets down and tries to wrestle it. Gator was having none of it, threw him, bit his arm. Almost bit it off. I mean, they call it a near-death experience. Yikes!
I saw that video, but he had like a towel.
Yeah.
Trying to take on a 250-pound alligator.
And that thing was huge. My understanding is that the tail of an alligator can break your leg if it.
What's the fellow's name?
Fred Boyce.
I'm going to rename him.
Yeah.
Fred, hold my beer, boy.
That's right.
There we go.
Listen, I'm glad he wasn't seriously hurt,
Yes.
right?
Yes, he was not.
But that's not a smart move right there. That's
the kind
wrestling an alligator.
That's the kind of thing where I would tell my kids when they were growing up, let that be a lesson to you.
There you go.
Learn from
All
that
right.
guy's idiocy.
Have a great day, everybody. Keep listening to American Family Radio. We will see you back here tomorrow.
Hello, everyone. I'm Tim Wildmon,